My dear friends, let me tell you something, fellas. When you come across a high-value woman, you know it instantly. Not because of what she's wearing, not because of how she looks, but because of how she talks to you. She don't need to raise her voice. She don't need to chase. She don't need to explain herself 100 times. The way she carries herself in conversation makes you sit up a little straighter. You ever been in front of a woman like that? She look at you dead in your eyes and you know this is different. See, a high-value woman don't play the begging game. She's not about to text you 10 times asking why you didn't call. She's not going to lower her standards just to keep you comfortable. She speaks with confidence. And when she says what she wants, she says it plain. And here's the crazy part. Men respect that. You might not like it at first, but you respect it because it forces you to step your game up. Let me break it down. When a woman knows her worth, her words hit different. She don't come at you with attitude, but she comes with clarity. She'll let you know, this is what I expect, this is how I operate, and this is where I draw the line. Now, when a man hears that, it does two things. It either makes him rise up and say, let me do right by her, or it exposes him for being a boy that ain't ready, but either way, she wins because she's not wasting her time. And fellas, listen, when a woman talks to you like that, it changes the whole atmosphere. You start thinking about your words, your actions, your choices. That's the power of a woman who knows her value. She don't argue for her respect. She commands it. Respectful confidence is one of the most powerful traits a high-value woman can carry, and it's something every man notices right away. See, it's not about being loud, it's not about being flashy, and it sure ain't about trying to dominate every conversation. Respectful confidence is about walking into a room, opening your mouth, and letting everybody know without even trying that you know your worth. It's the kind of energy that says, I don't need to prove myself. I don't need to chase anyone. I already know who I am. And the truth is, when a woman speaks with that type of confidence, she changes the entire dynamic of how men respond to her. A high-value woman understands the power of tone. She doesn't raise her voice just to get attention. She doesn't belittle or insult just to make a point. Instead, she communicates with clarity and calmness. And that calmness is where the power is. Because here's what men won't tell you directly. We listen differently when a woman is composed. The same words that would have started an argument sound like wisdom when they're spoken with confidence and control. Men respect that because it takes strength to hold your ground without losing your cool. And make no mistake about it, confidence isn't arrogance. See, arrogance is loud. Arrogance tries to prove it's the smartest person in the room. Confidence doesn't need to prove anything. Confidence is when a woman says, I know what I want, I know what I will and won't tolerate, and I'm not about to waste time convincing anybody of it. That's powerful. That's what makes a man lean in closer, because he feels that sense of certainty. Men are naturally drawn to women who know where they stand, because that strength of character challenges them to rise to the occasion. Now, let me give you an example. A man might be playing games, right? He's calling when he wants, disappearing when he feels like it, keeping things inconsistent. A woman without confidence will chase him down. She'll send long texts trying to explain how she feels, begging for clarity. But a woman with respectful confidence, she doesn't need to beg. She'll simply say, this isn't working for me, and she'll keep it moving. That statement alone shifts everything because it tells the man that her peace and her standards matter more than his games. And trust me, when a man hears that, he either steps up or he steps out, but either way, she doesn't lose. Respectful confidence also shows up in the way a woman sets boundaries. She doesn't scream them out. She doesn't issue threats. She just lives them. She shows a man through her actions what she will and won't allow. If he disrespects her, she doesn't stay around making excuses. If he's inconsistent, she doesn't wait around hoping he'll change. She moves on. That's respectful confidence. It's not about punishing anyone. It's about protecting herself. And when men see that, they realize this is not a woman they can play with. Another part of respectful confidence is how she communicates her needs. A lot of women are afraid to say what they really want because they think it'll scare a man away. But a confident woman, she's not worried about scaring the wrong man because she knows the right man won't be scared. If she wants commitment, she says so. If she values loyalty, she makes that clear. She doesn't hint, she doesn't hope, she doesn't settle for half effort. And guess what? When a man hears that, it makes him think twice before offering her anything less. Let's be real. Respectful confidence isn't just attractive, it's magnetic. It draws the right kind of men and filters out the wrong ones. Men respect women who carry themselves with dignity. They respect women who don't lower their standards just to keep somebody around. And they especially respect women who can communicate their truth without disrespecting anybody else. That balance of strength and grace is rare, and that's why it's so valuable. Here's the bottom line. When a woman speaks with respectful confidence, she doesn't just influence how men treat her, she influences how she treats herself. She builds a world where peace, respect, and love are non-negotiable. And that kind of world attracts men who are willing to match her energy. Because a man can play games with a woman who doubts herself, but he can't play games with a woman who knows herself. Respectful confidence is the difference between begging for love and commanding respect. And when a high-value woman talks like that, everything about the relationship changes. Clear boundaries are the backbone of a high-value woman's life. See, without boundaries, people will run over you every single time. They'll take advantage of your kindness. They'll test your patience, and they'll use your love until there's nothing left. But when a woman sets clear boundaries, she's telling the world, this is how you treat me, this is how far you can go, and this is where I stop you. And here's the truth. Men respect a woman who respects herself enough to have boundaries. Now let me break it down. A boundary isn't about controlling someone else. It's about controlling yourself. It's about saying, I won't tolerate disrespect. I won't allow myself to stay in situations that steal my peace. I won't sacrifice my standards just to keep someone around. And when a woman operates like that, she communicates her value without even saying a word. Because men notice when they can't just do whatever they want around you. Men notice when you won't bend over backward for crumbs of affection. That's the power of boundaries. They separate the women who get played from the women who get chosen. And here's the key. Boundaries don't need to be loud. A high-value woman doesn't have to scream, you better not disrespect me. She just shows it. She doesn't answer the phone when you only call her at midnight. She doesn't cancel her plans every time you want to see her last minute. She doesn't forgive the same lie over and over again. Her actions draw the line for her. And those actions, they speak louder than any lecture ever could. See, some women get scared that setting boundaries will push a man away. But let me tell you, boundaries don't push the right man away, they push the wrong man away. If a man disappears because you set a standard, he wasn't your man to begin with. He was there for what he could get away with, not for who you are. The right man, he'll respect it. In fact, a strong man is attracted to boundaries because it tells him you're not desperate. It tells him you're not afraid to lose him if he doesn't treat you right. That's what makes him step up. Think about it like this. If you don't put a fence around your garden, anybody can walk in and trample your flowers. Boundaries are your fence. They protect what's valuable inside you, your peace, your love, your time, your energy. Without them, you'll end up drained, confused, and heartbroken. But with them, you create an environment where only people who truly value you can stay. And that's how you separate real love from convenience. Now, let's be honest, setting boundaries isn't always easy, especially if you're used to giving, forgiving, and trying to fix people. But the moment you start enforcing boundaries, everything changes. The same man who thought he could ghost you and pop back whenever he felt like it suddenly realizes he can't treat you that way. The same people who used to drain you with negativity realize you won't pick up their calls anymore. Boundaries shift the entire dynamic because people either rise to meet your standards or they remove themselves. Either way, you win. And fellas know this too. A woman with no boundaries is easy to manipulate. But a woman with boundaries, she's a challenge, and not in a frustrating way, in an inspiring way. She makes a man realize he's got to come correct. She makes him realize she's not an option, she's a priority. And if he can't handle that, she'll let him go without hesitation. That's strength. Clear boundaries also create freedom. Most people think boundaries trap you, but actually, They protect you so you can live with peace. When a woman knows her limits, she doesn't waste time worrying about what people think. She doesn't carry the stress of relationships that don't serve her. She doesn't lose herself trying to keep somebody else happy. She lives free because she knows her yes means something and her no means something too. At the end of the day, clear boundaries are a love letter to yourself. They say, I love me enough not to let you break me. I value me enough not to let you use me. I respect me enough to walk away when you can't respect me. And that's the very thing that makes men respect her more. Because when a woman sets boundaries, she's not just teaching people how to treat her. She's teaching herself how to never settle again. That's why clear boundaries are so powerful. They filter out the wrong ones, they attract the right ones, and most importantly, they keep a woman grounded in her own worth. And let me tell you, once a high-value woman gets comfortable enforcing her boundaries, she stops chasing validation. She doesn't need anybody to confirm her value because her boundaries already confirm it. And when she lives like that, men can't help but see the difference. There's something powerful that happens when a woman knows her value, speaks with respectful confidence, and stands firm in her boundaries. It creates what I like to call the magnetic effect. This isn't about manipulation, and it's not about playing games. It's about a natural pull that makes men lean in, listen harder, and want to be around her more. A high-value woman doesn't chase attention, but somehow attention always finds her. And that's because her energy is magnetic. Let me explain. Men are naturally drawn to challenge, but not the type of challenge that feels like chaos or drama. They're drawn to the challenge of earning respect, of proving themselves worthy. When a woman carries herself with strength and grace, she creates an atmosphere where a man feels like he has to bring his best self forward. That pull, that invisible attraction, isn't about looks or money. It's about presence. It's the way she walks into a room without needing approval. It's the way she says no without guilt and yes without hesitation. That kind of presence commands attention, and men can't help but be pulled toward it. The magnetic effect works because it's rooted in self-respect. See, men can tell the difference between a woman who's desperate for love and a woman who's selective with her love. A desperate woman chases, compromises too much, and accepts less than she deserves. But a magnetic woman, she knows she's the prize. She knows her time, her love, and her loyalty are valuable. So she doesn't just give them to anybody. That scarcity makes her more valuable. It makes men realize they can't take her for granted because her love is not easily given away. Here's the thing. The magnetic effect doesn't just make men want to chase. It makes them want to change. When a man encounters a high-value woman, he starts evaluating his own life. He starts asking himself, am I good enough to stand next to her? Am I treating her the way she deserves? A woman who knows her worth can inspire a man to level up, not because she forces him, but because he doesn't want to lose her. That's the pull. That's the power. Now, don't get it twisted. The magnetic effect doesn't mean every man you meet is going to step up. Some men will fall back, some will disappear, and that's okay. That's the beauty of it. It filters out the weak and highlights the strong. The men who can't handle a high-value woman won't stick around, but the men who can will show up with consistency, respect, and effort. And that's how you separate boys from men. You ever notice how some women don't have to do the chasing, yet men still compete for their attention? That's magnetic energy. It's not about looks alone, because beauty fades. It's not about money, because money comes and goes. It's about self-respect, confidence, and authenticity. Men sense when a woman doesn't need them to complete her, but chooses to allow them in her space. And that choice makes them feel special. That's why they chase. That's why they commit. Another part of the magnetic effect is mystery. Not secrecy, but mystery. A high-value woman doesn't put all her cards on the table on day one. She reveals herself over time with depth and patience, and that keeps a man intrigued because he realizes there's more to discover. She's not trying to overshare or oversell herself. She knows her value, and she lets him earn the right to see more of who she is. That patience in revealing herself is magnetic because it creates anticipation. The magnetic effect also shows up in how she handles rejection and disappointment. Instead of breaking down when something doesn't work out, she keeps moving. Instead of begging someone to stay, she lets them go gracefully. That resilience makes her even more attractive because men respect strength. Nobody wants to be around someone who crumbles under pressure. But when a woman holds her head high and keeps her peace, she becomes unforgettable. At the heart of it, the magnetic effect is about balance. It's strength without arrogance, confidence without hostility, love without desperation. It's that perfect combination that makes a man want to protect her, provide for her, and commit to her. Because deep down, men crave a woman who values herself. Men crave someone they can look up to, someone they can build with, someone who makes them feel like becoming better men. And when a woman carries herself with that energy, she doesn't need to chase anyone. They chase her. So understand this, a high-value woman doesn't beg for respect. She earns it through her presence. She doesn't run after love. She attracts it through her confidence. She doesn't fear losing people because she knows the right ones will stay. That's the magnetic effect. It's a force that pulls the right people in and pushes the wrong ones out. And once a woman starts living with that kind of energy, her life changes. She becomes the type of woman men don't forget because she's not just another option. She's the standard. Let me tell you something. When a woman knows her value, the whole world responds differently to her. It's not just about how she looks or how she dresses. It's about how she talks, how she carries herself, and how she deals with people around her. See, a high-value woman has something most folks can't fake, respectful confidence. That's what changes everything. Because when a woman speaks with respectful confidence, you feel it. She doesn't have to scream. She doesn't have to beg. She doesn't have to chase. The way she carries herself says everything you need to know. Respectful confidence is powerful because it's not loud. It's not arrogance. It's not trying to prove anything. It's that calm energy that makes you sit up straighter when she speaks. She looks at you, and without saying much, you know she means what she says. That's the type of confidence that makes men listen differently. It's not in the shouting, it's in the composure. It's in her ability to state her needs clearly and to do it without raising her voice or disrespecting anybody. Men respect that because it takes real strength to stand your ground without losing your cool. And let me tell you, confidence is not arrogance. Arrogance is loud. Arrogance is trying to be the smartest person in the room. But confidence doesn't need to announce itself. A high-value woman speaks her truth with clarity. This is what I want, this is what I expect, and this is where I draw the line. When she talks like that, men take notice. Because a woman who knows her worth makes a man either step up or step out. And either way, she doesn't lose. That's what makes respectful confidence so powerful. It commands attention without ever begging for it. Now here's where the game really shifts. Clear boundaries. See, confidence alone ain't enough. If you don't have boundaries, people will run over you every single time. But when a woman sets boundaries, she's saying, this is how I deserve to be treated. And anything less than that doesn't get access to me. Boundaries don't control other people. They protect you. And that's what a high-value woman understands. She doesn't tolerate disrespect. She doesn't make excuses for someone who's wasting her time. She doesn't lower her standards just to keep somebody around. And the best part? She doesn't have to scream her boundaries. She doesn't have to threaten anybody. She shows them through her actions. If a man calls only when it's convenient, she doesn't pick up. If he's inconsistent, she doesn't wait around hoping he'll change. If he lies, she doesn't forgive the same thing 100 times. Her actions set the tone. And when a man sees that, he knows this is not a woman he can play with. Some women are afraid to set boundaries because they think it'll push men away. But let me tell you something. Boundaries don't scare the right man. They only scare the wrong ones. If a man disappears because you told him what you will and won't accept, he wasn't your man in the first place. The right man, he respects it. He steps up because your standards tell him you're not desperate. You're not afraid to lose him. That's what makes him put in effort, because he knows you won't just settle for anything. Boundaries are like a fence around your garden. Without that fence, anybody can walk in and destroy what you've built. But when you put up those boundaries, you're protecting your peace, your love, and your energy. And when you protect those things, you stop wasting time on people who don't deserve them. That's when you attract the ones who do. Boundaries aren't punishment, they're protection. And when a woman enforces them, she wins every single time. And then comes the most powerful part, the magnetic effect. When a woman has respectful confidence and clear boundaries, she becomes magnetic. She doesn't chase attention, but attention finds her. She doesn't beg for love, but love comes to her. Because men are naturally drawn to women who value themselves. They sense it, they feel it, and it pulls them in without her having to lift a finger. The magnetic effect isn't about looks alone. It's not about money. It's about presence. When a woman walks into a room with that calm, confident energy, people notice. When she says no without guilt and yes without hesitation, men pay attention. They can tell she doesn't need anyone to complete her, but she's willing to share her space with the right one. That choice, that self-respect makes her irresistible. And here's the beauty of it. The magnetic effect doesn't just make men chase, it makes men change. When a man meets a high-value woman, he starts checking himself. He asks, am I good enough to stand beside her? Am I treating her the way she deserves? She doesn't have to force him to level up. He wants to because he knows he could lose her. That's the invisible pull. That's the magnetism. And don't get me wrong, not every man will step up. Some will fall back, some will walk away, and that's fine because the magnetic effect isn't meant to attract everyone. It's meant to attract the right ones and filter out the wrong ones. The men who can't handle her value will move on, but the men who can will rise to the challenge, and those are the men worth keeping. At the end of the day, a high-value woman doesn't chase, she attracts. She doesn't beg for respect, she commands it. She doesn't fear losing people because she knows the right ones will stay. Respectful confidence, clear boundaries, and that magnetic effect, they work together to create a presence no man can ignore. And when a woman lives like that, she becomes unforgettable, not just because of how she looks, but because of how she values herself. That's the difference. That's the standard. And that's why when a high-value woman talks to a man a certain way, everything about the relationship changes.